This episode of the Gooner Ramble is sponsored by the new sporting betting app called Mkhi. That's Bookee. Sign up using the promo code podcast, deposit and bet £10 in multiple bets for a free £10 bet. Please bet responsibly.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Gooner Ramble. I'm your host James and I'm delighted to say that I'm back on the podcast after what has felt like an eternity away from it. And I'm delighted to be joined by two wonderful guests this evening in Dave and Woz, who I'm also really pleased to have back on the show. Woz, I'll come to you first. How are you, mate?
I'm very, very good, thanks, mate. I'm much better after yesterday. It was a bit of a crazy transfer window and an up and down week on the pitch, but we've got reason to smile finally, haven't we?
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. And Dave, I assume you're feeling the exact same way.
Yeah, no, very enjoyable day. It's quite nice when you sometimes you go with not knowing exactly what to expect after the week we'd had, and sort of that, so your anticipation's probably a little bit sort of, I don't know, you're excited but you don't really know what to expect, and then when you get a lovely surprise like that, fantastic.
Exactly. Sticking with you, Dave, I don't know if it was the same for you, but I think it was the feeling amongst most Arsenal fans that there was such a buzz around yesterday's game going into it, with the signing of Aubameyang, with Mkhitaryan potentially starting, and that prevailed in the end. It was such an exciting team lineup when it was announced. We were all buzzing. I mean, were you at the game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, what was it like at the Emirates? What was the atmosphere like? Talk me through it.
Well, I'd certainly heard a lot of people, and whispers out of Coney that Aubameyang wasn't going to be fit enough to start. So I think, now before the kickoff, when you're in the pub and you're having a drink and then you hear that news, that sort of heightened the atmosphere massively. I didn't actually get in until about 30 seconds after kickoff because I was supposed to be meeting someone who didn't turn up to give him a ticket. But so no, as soon as I got in, it was just amazing atmosphere. The fact he started, I mean, it's just. I can't remember the last time. Probably Ozil. I don't think even Sanchez's debut was sort of so anticipated as Aubameyang's, because whatever people say, and we can say we lost Sanchez, but Sanchez isn't in the top 5 or 6 players in the world. Potentially Aubameyang over the last 2 years has been him. It really is that exciting, and you could see even an 85% fit. What we're going to get. I remember when Henry first started playing and it didn't quite click at the beginning, but you just knew you were looking at a Rolls Royce of a player. And that's how I felt yesterday. As soon as I started, his movement, his pace, just fantastic. Yeah, very exciting day. Very exciting.
Was for you, how important was it that Aubameyang started? Because given we had that loss to Swansea midweek, it was really important that we got a response from the team yesterday, which we certainly did. But Aubameyang leading the line played a big part in that. Yeah,
it's a massive boost, like Dave said. Not just the player himself. The thing I like about him is he's got an aura. He's got a swagger about him. You look at him and he's sort of coming in. Yeah, I am the man. This is what my price tag is. I'm the nuts. I've scored all these goals over the last few years. Let me on that pitch and I'll show you what I can do. And in parts of the game, he was quite quiet, but I mean, you could see there, like Dave said, he's not fully fit in his first game in English football, but my God, there was that ball down the line from Ozil. And when he went through, running through with his left foot shot, it just looked, we haven't had that excitement for a long, long time. And there's something about Aubameyang that really just speaks world class. And I don't know whether he's got his funky haircut and all these cars and all it. And it's just the way he carries himself. And the excitement fed into the stands, definitely. And it was great to have him. But I tell you what, Henrik Mkhitaryan as well. I mean, we're going to go on and chat about it. But my God, the two of them started like a house on fire for the Arsenal Football Club. And everyone else seemed to raise their game. And we had a balanced line-up. And it was, we started like a house on fire, didn't we? And that really, Everton couldn't deal with us straight away.
Speaking of that swagger that Aubameyang's got, I don't know if you saw the BT Sport post-match interview after the game where they had the trio of Ramsey, Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang, our 3 star performers. And the guy interviewing Aubameyang goes to him and says, is there a lot more to come from you? And he just simply replies in one word, yes. I mean, does that just show, what a confident man he is?
He is, mate. Well, that's what we're saying. Over the last sort of 3 years, he's got more goals than Harry Kane. Over, what was it, 110 goals or something silly. So he is a world-class player in the prime of his career. Unbelievable to sign him, and it's a change in emphasis at the club, because we haven't signed a 28-year-old in his prime for 60 million with no resale value ever. So it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And I'm bloody excited to see the rest of the season with him in there, because there's definitely space for Lacazette and him, but he's an exciting player, isn't he?
He certainly is. Dave, coming back to you, just before we get on to how brilliant Arsenal were in that opening 20 minutes, or in that opening first half, really, just want to touch on the return of Theo Walcott to the Emirates Stadium. Now, he got an absolutely fantastic appraisal from the Arsenal fans, and he's a player that gave a great service to the club. And he seems to be tearing up at Everton in his first couple of games. Actually had quite a good performance yesterday at the Emirates. I mean, how good is it to see someone like Theo Walcott come back and hopefully prevail in an Everton shirt and get such a good reception from the Arsenal fans?
No, I'm really pleased with him. I don't think it was ever. I couldn't even believe people were discussing the fact he wouldn't get a great reception. I mean, he was always going to get a great reception, even when he wasn't playing well. You could get frustrated by him, but he was always a favourite with the fans. I mean, from the day we signed him, we took him under our wings. Really, I think he'll very much be remembered as a fabulous servant to the club. I think what's interesting for him is I think in 11 years at Arsenal, he's probably played up front in a 2 no times at all. And I actually think, I've always thought that's what Theo Walcott needed. If he's going to be at his best, he needs to be a striker in a 2-striker system. And I think that's what he'll get. He may not get it every week. Sam Allardyce might play one up top away from home. But I think at home with that big Tosin guy he's signed, I think Theo will get to play off a big centre forward. We've never done that. He's either been wide in the 3 or up front on his own. He's never been up front in the 2. So, at this stage in his career, I think he might get 2 or 3 fantastic years, playing in a position that he's probably never had a chance to play for Arsenal. So good luck to him.
And I know you're a big advocate of Theo Walcott during his time at Arsenal. Anything you want to say to the former Gunner?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolute heartbreak losing him from a personal point of view. And obviously I did like him, and I always have liked him, but I just thought he, like you said, the way he started for Everton, and yesterday he definitely was their best performer. I mean, he was so unlucky when he sent Monreal down the chippy, to be fair. He ran inside, sat him on the floor, and Mustafi made an absolute wonderful, incredible tackle. Otherwise, that was nestling in the back of the net from Theo, and he put that fantastic ball in when the ass hit the post as well. And he's always a threat, Theo. And like Dave said, I think he will succeed at Everton, and he might have the opportunity, like he said, to do things he didn't do at Arsenal. And fingers crossed for him that he makes the World Cup squad. And it was, I was surprised Big Sam took him off. Actually, I was very, very surprised. Especially
I think he wanted him to get an ovation.
Yeah, it almost seemed that way, didn't it?
I think it definitely seemed that way. Yeah. Sentimental Sam. Sentimental.
Yeah, and it was nice, and everyone to a man was applauding Theo. But it's ironic because we're at the section I sit in, quite a lot of people have given pelters for years, and funnily enough, they're singing his name, praising him like mad, which is quite ironic, really. But it was nice to see him get that sort of reception, and clearly he's a very well-respected guy. And like you said, Dave, he's made a great career at the club, and he's always give his all. And to be there since the age of 16 and then leave now and move on, we just all wish him the best of luck. And thankfully, he isn't what we would say is a direct rival, essentially. So also, we can sort of get behind him a bit.
It's quite rare in the modern day and age with football, the amount of money in football and the big clubs with the money poaching from other clubs. It's going to be quite rare, I think, increasingly rare, that you're going to get a club come back and be that popular. It tend to leave, because they want more money, because they want to win more trophies. So all the very, very good players we've seen leave in the last 8 to 10 years, most of them are not very popular. And that's the way. It's not just an Arsenal thing, way of the world. So I think it's a rarity you're going to see somebody who's been a true servant, never complained the whole time he was there, and then come back and be popular. I mean, I would say probably Bakary Sagna is the only other one who I don't think many people would have a bad. I know he could have signed and he could have stayed on, but I don't think many people would have a bad him. But there aren't many. You can't think of many who would get, a standing ovation stadium having come back. No, it's good news. It's good news.
I mean, just touching on that, Dave, do you think it would be the same, just out of curiosity, for someone like Olivier Giroud when he returns to the Emirates?
Yeah, I do. And I think, fortunately, with Olivier, and I'm say snippets from Colney, but I don't think he's very happy with the decision he's made. I think he might be regretting it already from what I gather. I mean, watching that first performance, Chelsea were abject. The manager seems to be, the players are at the manager's throat, the manager's at the owner's throat. It's not a happy camp at Chelsea, is it? And, even in and out the side, Arsenal, I think I sense that Giroud has always felt very much part of a family at Arsenal. And I think he's, out of that environment into Chelsea, where he's just seemed to have that sort of happy camp atmosphere at the moment. So,
it's also a huge move for him, though, Dave, wasn't it? Because of the World Cup,
he has to play.
He has to play, exactly, and it's such a huge move for him personally as a footballer. And I think the reception for Theo might have been a bit different if we were 2-1 down. Do you know what I mean? So it helped that we were cruising and there was nothing to sort of be worried about. But if Giroud comes and we're beating Chelsea comfortably or whatever, then I'm sure he'll get a great reception as well. But yeah, I mean, he's another one we want to succeed, Giroud. But like you said, he's walking into the fire there, really. Isn't he?
Not a Chelsea.
Yeah, the club's in disarray, and it might not long term be the best move for him, but we've got to.
It's only an 18-month contract for him. It's not like he signed a 3-year contract. I think had his wife not been so adamant that she wanted to stay in London, I think that Dortmund move would have been a much better move for him personally.
Perfect for him. Yeah,
I think he would have really, with those players they've got at Dortmund, feeding it into him quickly, running beyond him, it would have been a perfect setup for him. But yeah, there we go.
Anyway, let's get back to the performance of yesterday. A brilliant, electrifying start from Arsenal, which saw us score a hatful of goals in the opening 20 minutes once again, just as we did in the way we did against Crystal Palace not too long ago. Before we had that blip in the week against Swansea. Dave, I'll come back to you on this one. It was a really good team lineup from Arsenal. Surprise, few inclusions perhaps. Surprised to see Alex Iwobi start again, but put in an excellent performance, and as did everyone beyond the defence. What do you put down that brilliant start to?
Oh, I wish I knew. I'm sure Arsenal wishes he knew, because we don't see it often enough. Obviously, they have got a lift for those two new players, but I think the player who really made the difference, the two players who made a difference being lineup, was not Aubameyang. Ramsey and Mkhitaryan yesterday. Ramsey's obviously come back. He's not been fully, and I've had this conversation many a time. I don't think you see the best of Aaron Ramsey unless he's 100% fit. So, he's missed 27% of our games since his stellar season. And then you add probably another 4 or 5% because it takes him that long to get up to speed. So he's been fit for a couple of weeks. I'd say that was the first game he started where he probably felt, where he could stretch himself, all the time. And that's what you get when Ramsey's that fit. But, so he was fantastic making the late runs, but it was Mkhitaryan, interplay with those and just the confidence. Ozil used to have it with Alexis, used to have that interchange between them. That hasn't been there for some time. And Ozil, as was said, offline, he needs someone to help him carry the burden of creativity and to know that he can give the ball to someone and something good's going to happen. And, without disrespect to some of the other players around him this season, that hasn't been happening. So that's the difference. Mkhitaryan is just the sort of player, when he's happy, you can see how he's going to play. And I think he's happy already at Arsenal. I think he wanted to come to Arsenal. He wanted to get away from Man United. It just gets the ball and looks up. He's always thinking what he's going to do before he's in receipt of the ball. One touch and the next one is a pass, or a turn or a beating a player in the same way that Ozil does it. So when you've got two players in your midfield who are that good, we can play quick football, and that's what we haven't been doing this season. We haven't been playing that fast interchange passing that we know and love, and it just hasn't been there. But I think it should be back now with those two players, hand in hand together.
We spoke not too long ago about how we were a little bit concerned about the lack of width in this Arsenal team and how there's no real out-and-out wingers. Yesterday we started with a 3 behind the striker of Mkhitaryan, Ozil and Alex Iwobi playing in behind Aubameyang. And we didn't seem to miss any width whatsoever. The way they linked up, the way they played it through the middle, the interchanging, passing between them was absolutely superb. Do you think that maybe this is a team that doesn't necessarily need to have out-and-out wingers like Theo Walcott?
Thing is, Cookie, but when looking at the game, there's ways of playing. They don't have to be wide players to retain width. A lot of the time yesterday, when we had the ball, when you look up, Iwobi was stretching the pitch on one side and Mkhitaryan was stretching it on the other, but the majority of their ball playing moments came inside. So if you start wide, then come in, I don't see it being as much of a problem. But the issue becomes when you start inside, then you're bottlenecked and then you're relying on your fullbacks to get up. But it becomes more of a partnership. And when I was looking earlier at the pass combinations, and the highest was Xhaka to Ozil, but the second highest was Bellerin to Mkhitaryan, and that speaks volumes that we're always at our best when we've got partnerships, and when you see that if they start wide and receive the ball and then come inside, it becomes very, very difficult to defend against because, like we saw, people lose runners. There's runs coming from absolutely everywhere. There's holes opening up and Ramsey's darting through them. You've got Ozil taking the mick. Iwobi was linking really well. Aubameyang, he's coming short and he's going in behind and there's movement. And they're the kind of things that you want to see Arsenal do, because in previous seasons where we've been narrow with a 4-2-3-1, for instance, when we were playing Theo on the left and Joel Campbell, we were just bottlenecked and we were relying on our fullbacks to get up and down, up and down, up and down. But what you want is your fullback to have a partnership. And when you see Bellerin playing 17 passes to Mkhitaryan, that's extremely, I like that a lot because it indicates that we are using the ball in the right areas and then we're coming inside and making something happen. But I mean, Everton, we've got to remember it's a Sam Allardyce team and that he very rarely concedes lots of goals in games, if you're brutally honest. And we were just absolutely fantastic. And he sort of tried to replicate the Swansea way of pressing us high, and he dropped Sigurdsson and no Rooney and no Tosa, and he went for pace, and we were just too quick. And at the end of the day, no matter how fast the opponents are, the ball always moves quicker. And we've got the players now, like Dave was saying, with Mkhitaryan and Ozil, they're just magnificent. And Xhaka was sat in there and feeding the ball through the lines to him, and it was just working so well, and it was such an enjoyable watch.
What did you make of Mkhitaryan on that right-hand side? Because that's where all of his assists came from, and he got 3 of them. It's the first time that someone's done that in a Premier League game for us since Cazorla back in May 2013 against Wigan, where he got 4. But isn't it testament to how good of a player he is and what an exceptional world-class talent? I'm not afraid to say he's a world-class talent. I honestly think that despite everything that happened at United, we have got one of the best creative midfielders in the world in our team. And I think it's, we've spoken a lot.
Two of.
Of course we do. Of course. How could I forget the magic Mez? But it's really exciting looking at that front three behind Aubameyang. It's a really, really creative team that we've got. I mean, how do you see us going forward? Do you see that three behind the striker being solidified for many more games to come?
I do, but I don't think it'll be that 3. I've just got up, and Roz won't like me for saying this, I've just got a hunch he might revert to the 14-15 team to fit Jack and Ramsey in the same side. Because Ramsey, I think Ramsey, I didn't like it when he first played out on the right, but I got used to it because he had a free role. When you start to understand, as long as when we had the ball, yes, he's got to be on the right. When we don't have the ball, he's got a free role. Like was said, Iwobi and Mkhitaryan were switching flanks. They were free to roam as long as they know their defensive duties. I've just got a feeling we might see Jack and Xhaka with Ramsey, Ozil and Mkhitaryan playing a fluid 3 behind Aubameyang. That's to be honest with you, it's what I would do. Not that that makes any difference, but I've got a feeling we will definitely see those players play. We'll see Jack and Xhaka, and we'll see Ramsey, Mkhitaryan and Ozil in some formation behind the striker. I've got a feeling that's what's going to happen, personally.
Is it the same for you? Because Wilshire's obviously been playing quite a lot of football these past couple of months, and I think he's certainly making a staple in the team. But it was interesting to see that he didn't get in the side yesterday following what was a slight illness against Swansea. Is there a way that we're able to fit Ramsey and Wilshere into the side, similarly to the way in which David just mentioned? Or do you think maybe it will harm our balance of play if we do try to shoehorn them both in?
You see, I do agree with you, Dave. Definitely do agree with you.
Okay.
But in a roundabout way. You see, I would have it the other way round. I'd actually have Jack playing where Iwobi is.
I was going to go on to say that's the alternative possible.
Yeah, and I actually think that the reason being is that I feel that with Xhaka and Wilshere both deep, I mean, you saw yesterday the importance of the runs from midfield, and I don't want to lose that from our game because it's another dimension. Because when we're moving players all over the place, that third man run is so vital. It is so vital. And I mean, Jack previously he had a little spell, didn't he, out wide? And
yeah, I remember. Was it 13, 14? I remember that he got that really good goal against Marseille there.
Yeah, and he the thing I love about Jack is I think he can play in any position. Realistically, Jack Wilshere is fantastic, but I think that Ramsey isn't technically as good as Wilshere, and I think Wilshere receiving the ball up there a lot of the time he's back to goal, and I think the little intricate passing. I think Jack might be a bit more suited to higher up the pitch and let Ramsey have the legs of the up and down. I definitely do think both can play in the same team, and it's just how you do it and how you operate it. But yeah, I'm
comfortable with either of those. Yeah,
exactly, mate. But I mean, it's horses for courses because I think if there's a game where you want to be a bit more solid and you'd rather have 2 sitting in, then I'd play Jack deeper alongside Xhaka, and we'll sit in and then we'll try and spring with the attackers. But then especially at home in games like that against Everton. I mean, that third man run is key. So then maybe have Jack higher up the pitch and Ramsey deep, because a player of Jack Wilshere's quality has to be playing for Arsenal Football Club. And then if we want him to stay at the club, he has to get minutes and he has to play. But I do genuinely believe that I'd rather see him higher up the pitch where he was playing at youth level. He was a creative number 10, and it's a testament to him that he can sit deep and play. But I just think that it would be more danger to the opposition up there in certain games. And then obviously there's the time where he can play deeper, and because Ramsey and Wilshere, both of them need rotation, if you're honest. Neither of them are going to play 40 games. That is the end of that. So
the other option is he could revert to the sort of system he's used a bit recently, which is sort of like, people call it 4-3-3. I call it 4-1-4-1, where, where we've had El Neni just sitting in. And then, of course, you've got any 2 from 3 between Jack, Ramsey and Xhaka can play on the 2 just ahead of El Neni in a big away game where he wants to just have someone sitting in front of the back 4. He's got that option as well. But then you've got Ozil and Mkhitaryan nominally wide in a 4, switching wings. He doesn't come in, so he can do that as well. He's got lots of options. Unfortunately, the player who's missing out on all our discussions here is Alexandre Lacazette, but then he will play every game in Europe.
Interestingly for you, Dave, do you think that away from home, El Neni is that player to sit in front of the back 4 and protect those defensive players?
Well, I think of the ones we've got, he's the best at it. I don't think he's we discussed this in the last pod when I was on with Giles and Akil, that, if he stumbled across a formation that works, he's not the player to work, make it work long term. So if he wants to play 4-1-4-1 and he wants an out and out, a younger Steven Nzonzi or a Gilberto, then El Neni isn't that man. He's not good enough. But he's, of the ones we've got, he's the one most suited to the role. So I don't think he's the answer. No.
On that note, though, do you not think it's a bit mental that we've shipped off Coquelin and then kept El Neni if we are going to play that sort of system?
Well, it's like Wenger. He just falls upon systems in games, doesn't he? It's not. I don't think he probably knew he was going to do that when Coquelin went. Yeah, but it's a good question. I have no idea. I would have certainly kept Coquelin over El Neni. I know would have done as well. So.
Yes.
Is it the same for you?
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't. I mean, but I don't want to get on slating El Neni, but I just think he's a very basic footballer and he does a job. But I actually think that, I mean, again, yesterday, Granit Xhaka, he made decent number of interceptions and he won all his tackles yesterday. And when he's sat in there and we've got a balanced team and we've got shape, everyone starts looking better. Mustafi won every single one of his duels. I think he won 10 out of 10 tackles, Mustafi, in the game. And everyone just suddenly looks like they're better players, because when there's a balance and when the team know what they're doing and you've got the boys up the top who are getting the ball, moving the ball, and Xhaka and Ramsey have got an understanding, and you saw in big games like Spurs at home and Chelsea away, Xhaka, Ramsey done well in that middle midfield too. And it's just, we've got to build a consistent team and try and stick with it, because you can't be chopping and changing week in, week out. You've got to have some sort of balance. I mean, Xhaka over the last few months has been getting pelters, and rightly so, he's been poor, but one minute he's playing in a box-to-box role with El Neni sat behind him, then he's playing alongside Wilshere, and then he's the deeper of the two, and it's just a complete mismatch. At least with Xhaka Ramsey, you've got the understanding there that Ramsey will be the legs, Xhaka's going to sit deep, and that will be that. Unless like for instance, Ramsey's second goal, there become a chance where Ramsey was deeper in because of the way the play develops, and then Xhaka went. But they went one at a time, and it's just, you need to see more of that. But yeah, if we're going to play 4-1-4-1, you could see I'm not a big fan of 4-3-3 as such. I prefer that, what Dave said, but we'll see. But Lacazette, I mean, for me, the only way to get Lacazette in there really is to play a 2 up top and go 4-2-2-2.
No, you say that, you've got the Chelsea formation that have been playing 3-5-2 all year, so you've got that alternative.
Can you see us going back to a back 3 though, Dave?
No, and if you do, Dave, to be fair, you're going to have to lose one of Mkhitaryan or Ozil out of the team.
Well, even if he went 3-5-2, you look at Chelsea, they're not playing 2 strikers, they're playing Eden Hazard just off striker. So if you played that system, it will be Mkhitaryan or Ozil just off Aubameyang anyway. So nothing is looking good for Alexander Lacazette.
Yeah, I mean,
but he will play every game in Europe. Let's hope he go to the final.
Me and James were having a little chat about it the other day, and I was saying it was like reminiscent to that year when we had obviously the debacle at Birmingham and Eduardo's injury, but we were so close to winning the title that year, and we actually had Flamini Fabregas, then we had Hleb Rosicki as the other two, and then we had a front two of Adebayor and Eduardo, and you could sort of see see this team sort of replicating that with Ozil and Mkhitaryan just a bit wider in front, and then you've got the front two, and then two central midfielders. But I don't know what Wayne is going to do.
Such a long time. And to be honest with you, everyone always talks. This is completely aside. It's a pet subject of mine. Everyone talks about the Eduardo thing. We lost that season when Riziki was injured in January. He didn't play for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
That was the big loss that season. I mean, okay, we had a Buea Walcott playing wide instead of Riziki, but there was a totally, that's what messed us up that season. Eduardo was a bit later and it didn't help, but yeah. But I can't see us going back to that formation. It just doesn't. It would be unheard of. He hasn't played two up. He's played two up at the extra time in the cup final at Wembley in 2014.
So no going through.
Yeah, I mean, he really hasn't done it very often. I mean, he did try to get Alexis moving a bit closer to the striker this season, I think. And I think we can do that. I do think the 4-2-3-1 is our formation. We've tried 2 or 3 different things. I think that's the go-to, and that is the one that's going to suit Mkhitaryan and Ozil the best.
So for you, is there no real way of getting Aubameyang and Lacazette in the same team without one of the two playing in a wide position?
Well, he did the Diamond Club meeting on Thursday, and I know Akil read the transcript, and I had a couple of people I know were there, and he was asked the question, will you be able to fit all 4 into the team? Because he said that thing about it's in our DNA, I will try to. At the Diamond Club, he said, I will rotate the 4 players. That's what Wenger said to the assembled hoi polloi at the Diamond Club on Thursday night. He said, I will rotate the 4 players. So, that's what he said. I mean, I've not seen Lacazette play enough wide to make a judgment, but I know he has played wide for Lyon. He has played wide in the 3. So there isn't any reason why, Lacazette couldn't play that third role in the 3, instead of Iwobi. So that's a possibility for him. And then he'll be the one, as Alexis was in that left-hand channel, pushing slightly closer to Lacazette. But he would be the Alexis person trying to get a little bit closer to Aubameyang. So that's a possibility. But I just don't know. I don't know how creative or how good he will be with the ball going forward. He plays with his back to goal. He's great on the turn. I've not really seen him, with the ball going forward as much. So it's a possibility. And I think we'll see it tried, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've got similar concerns to you, I think, Dave. I mean, how much would I trust Lacazette in a wide position to create the chances that the likes of Mkhitaryan, Ozil, etc. are creating? And with that forward line we had yesterday, the balance was just perfect with Mkhitaryan, Ozil and Aubameyang leading the line. It was just so good to watch, so fluid, and you can't help but feel that whilst it does look great on paper having those 4 start together, would it actually work when put onto the pitch? I'd certainly like to think it would. Was for you, let's talk briefly about how good Aubameyang was yesterday. He was I thought he was actually quite subtle in the game. I don't think he really made a loud statement. His goal was fantastic, but the runs he peeled off were superb, and he offered something that I thought was very different to what Lacazette's done. What I've liked about Lacazette is he holds off the ball, he has his back to defenders, and he brings other players into the game. With Aubameyang, he was selfish at times, which I quite like about him, making those runs. There was that beautiful chance he had, that threaded ball from Ozil in the first half, where he almost scored if it wasn't for a good save from Pickford. Offers something different to what we've already got, and a very, very promising start for our record signing.
It was, and that pass you talk about from Mesut down the wing, I mean, when he got on his bike there, he made Lacazette look like a Sunday League speed player. Do you know what I mean? That turn of pace is just astonishing, absolutely astonishing, and we're going to see more and more of that, and it was brilliant. And the thing I really loved about Aubameyang is if he made a run, he didn't get the ball, he's smiling. If he got fouled, he was smiling. If the ref gave a decision against him, he was smiling. Everything he done, he just plays the game with a smile on his face. He enjoys football, and obviously it's easy to do that when you're 4-0 up inside half hour, whatever, but you can just, like I was saying earlier, he's got an aura about him, and he's a cracking signing, and I think we're going to be in for some exciting times with him. But like you said, he does all that with the running in behind and things, but you can't underestimate. I mean, that pass he played to Mkhitaryan for the first goal was absolutely fantastic. And them two have obviously had that previous connection before, and I don't think it will take very long for Aubameyang and Ozil to be. I mean, we already seen that one fantastic pass, and that was Arsenal of old. Teams would come at us, and then bang, we would counter, and we'd be down the other end in seconds. And Mesut Ozil's a king of counter attacks. Mkhitaryan is certainly going to be a danger on the counter. You've got Ramsey who can counter as well, and Aubameyang is going to be roadrunner. So it'll be interesting to see next week that at Wembley against Spurs, if they're going to dominate possession, we're going to be in a situation where we're going to be very, very dangerous. If they're attacking us, then we're going to be. As soon as we win possession, we're gone, mate, and that could certainly play into Aubameyang's hands at Wembley as well.
And Dave, for you, what did you make of the performance of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang?
Well, it just, everything was said. I mean, it's just so exciting. It just gives us something that we haven't had for a long time. I mean, you know, Theo, we had it with Theo. There are odd games I can think of. In fact, we even had it with Danny Welbeck now and again. You remember that game against Galatasaray when it was put. Now everyone thought, God, he could be the new Henry, but this is someone who really can be sort of talked about in the same breath. I mean, Theo never really was. Welbeck certainly wasn't, but they did have pace. But this is a guy with pace and talent, and also obviously very, 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 very cool in front of goal. Something that Theo had, Danny certainly hasn't got. So he's got the whole package, hasn't he? And I think but I think he's a team player. You know, I mean, Henry towards the end perhaps wasn't, but he perhaps was better than everyone else in the team. But, when you've got players like Mkhitaryan and Ozil behind you, he's a team player and they will find him. They're so good, they will find him. And it doesn't really matter, if you can break those lines, there is no defender in the Premier League who's going to catch him. It's that simple,
So staying with you there, Dave, we touched on briefly what this will mean for Lacazette, but it must be quite difficult for him seeing this guy come in, score on his Premier League debut. Everyone's giving him plaudits. I mean, the Arsenal social media accounts are absolutely raving about him at the moment. And I wouldn't say he's the forgotten man. I think he's gotten a lot of appraisals recently, and people are very clear to make sure that he's not forgotten about. But he is still an excellent option for us, and we have now got two very prolific strikers at the club. I mean, he put a post on his Instagram today, just on his Instagram story, of the Arsenal crest and the cannon. I mean, do you think maybe little things like that are a sign that he's still showing that he's got a big part to play in this team?
Well, it's hard because we don't know as mere mortals how much confidence do you have to be a professional footballer. You can't doubt your own ability. So he has to view it as like, I'm still good enough to play in this team. Otherwise, he wouldn't have got to where he is today. So he will have confidence and ability. The other thing he's got in his favour is Mkhitaryan can't play at Wembley in the cup final, can he? Because he's already played for Man United in that competition. So he's going to get to play at Wembley almost definitely, I would say, in some shape or form. I think he's going to play every single Europa League game, and let's face it, we've got a chance of winning that now. Mkhitaryan, can play in that competition. Aubameyang can't. So there's a lot of games to be played, and I don't think he's going to start many in the Premier League, but he's going to get a lot of football. So he's got to take the attitude that I'm either going to show I can play alongside Aubameyang, I can show I can play whenever Aubameyang's not fit. I can show he has to, and in the back of his mind, he's also got to say, well, I've got to show that if somebody does come in from the summer, I'm good enough to go anywhere, and I'm still a great player. I personally think. I think he may not stay with us. That's a gut reaction. I think some people in Arsenal aren't as impressed with him as they thought they were going to be. But I hope I'm wrong in that. But I do think he'll have ample opportunity to show he can still have a very valuable part to play in this team. The person who's going to lose out the most here is Danny Welbeck, not Alexander Lacazette. Danny Welbeck will not get. I can't see. I think Iwobi's ahead of him, in the wide role. I think one of Jack or Ramsey will be ahead of him in one of the wide roles, and I think maybe even Lacazette's ahead of him as a second striker or one of the wide roles. The player who's going to lose out the most is Danny Welbeck, not Alexander Lacazette.
Great point you make there, Dave, and we'll get on to Danny Welbeck in just a moment. But for you, do you share the opinion of Dave that perhaps we may lose Lacazette in the summer, which would be very un-Arsenal-like considering we've just bought him for that astonishing fee back in the summer?
I think it's very the situation. I think it's absolutely bonkers we're even talking about it with Lacazette. To be honest with you, I think it's very reactionary because we've got Aubameyang in and things. But the guy, to be fair to him, he started well. He was getting a link, and he had a link, and then Ramsey got injured. The way the team played changed. There weren't so many crowd scenes. There weren't people getting around him. I mean, he didn't seem to ever really get it off with Alexis. I think. Alex Lacazette, I mean, I was very critical of his signing, and I must admit, he's impressed me so much that I completely backtrack on that. But obviously, he hasn't got the goals we expected. But it just seems for me that he's got a high level intelligence, and his link play is so good that he needs. If he was playing in a team with Mkhitaryan, Ozil, and Ramsey coming from midfield, he would be absolutely fantastic as well. What he doesn't offer is that sort of, he seems a bit slower than I expected. So he hasn't offered that electrifying pace in behind, which I did think he would be providing. But you've seen already, like you mentioned earlier, the Mkhitaryan getting out wide in them areas and cutting that ball back across the box. And they're a dream for the attackers. Do you know what I mean? So Lacazette is going to get plenty. I mean, it's like Dave said, and Aubameyang, hopefully he stays fit. And it's just where Wenger needs to utilise the squad correctly and not let anyone tire and get long in games. But obviously yesterday we had a couple of injuries and things, so he couldn't make the subs. But I mean, if you're getting into games 65 minutes, 70 minutes, if the scores are tight or if we're clear, make the change. Keep these guys fresh, because you never know what's going to happen. But
he's in the same position as Giroud, though, isn't he? I'm sure. I mean,
well, yeah, for the World Cup,
he needs to be playing. I mean, you've got Mbappe, you've got a lot of people competing for those two. You've got Griezmann, so
well, it's even to get in the squad, isn't it?
Absolutely.
To even make the squad, let alone. Yeah,
I think the difference is I'm not. Don't get me wrong, I like him a lot. I've enjoyed watching him play. I just think, because what Woz says is true, he doesn't have the electric pace of Aubameyang. So with Lacazette, we haven't had Mkhitaryan, but it's a case of the timing of his runs are good, but we've only had one player to try and find him, really. With Aubameyang, the run doesn't even have to start, and you can put the ball over the top and he can sprint onto it. It's going to be so much easier for us to put balls in behind, because it's not about the timing of the runs. It's just on the last shoulder, and he's quicker than everyone else. So it's just unfair to compare, because Lacazette is not that sort of player. And he is going to have to be our plan B. It's not the same plan B as Giroud was, but he's going to have to be our plan B, and he's just going to have to take his chances. That's what professional football is about.
And let's talk briefly about our plan C in Danny Welbeck, who I know you mentioned there, Dave, that you think he's going to get limited opportunities.
Oh, I love him, though. That's it.
I love a bit of Danny Welbeck as well. He's a brilliant utility player for us, and he does put in some good shifts. But there are times this season, especially after the injuries he's rocked up, where I'm starting to think, is he actually good enough to be starting for Arsenal Football Club on a regular basis? I still think he's got a little bit to offer, but for you, do you think that maybe he should be looking for a new club come the summer?
Me, I think he probably will, yeah. I mean, I was so pleased for him in the last season, because I know he didn't get it, but for me, in the FA Cup final against Chelsea, he was our man of the match. He literally terrorised the back three of Chelsea last year. He didn't give him a moment's rest. He's just trouble. He's a handful. He just hustles and bustles. What he hasn't got for a centre forward is that coolness in front of goal, and that's which is obviously quite important. But as a player to come off the bench, to cause a problem, to never stop running, to never give a defender a moment's peace, he's got it all. He will have a good career wherever he goes. He will, but he's another one who, if he was playing every week, he would be harbouring hopes of going to the World Cup as well. So he's just not going to go, is he? Do you not still think there's a chance with Danny Welbeck, because he's often been a favourite of England's, and he's got a very impressive goal scoring record for them. He was for Hodgson. He hasn't. I think he's had one selection under Southgate so far.
Okay, fair play.
Yeah, I like him a lot, and I hope he gets an opportunity at Arsenal or somewhere else. I'm a big fan, but I do think, in the systems we're going to likely to play, he's going to be third choice in virtually every position, like Theo found himself this season.
It is interesting you say that, though, because when Welbeck's been fit, he's actually played quite a lot of football for Arsenal this season.
Well, the thing with Danny Welbeck, I think he as a player needs to realise and have the clarification that I don't think he ever will be centre forward for a top club. And that unfortunately is the long and short of it. He's got all the attributes, but he's got a touch of a baby elephant. Do you know what I mean? His runs aren't that intelligent. His link play isn't very good, but what he does offer, and it's exactly how Ferguson used him in his later years at United before he left, in all the big games. And this is why, for me, if he was fit, I'd be starting him at Wembley next week on that left side ahead of Iwobi, because he offers something that not many other players do in our team, and he will constantly work. He will be up and down that left wing. He will drive at defences. He's very fast. He's very strong. And although you lose a bit of technical security that Iwobi would give you, I think in a big game like Spurs or an away game like a tough game, I'd bank my money on Wells. I'd prefer that. I think he's just a bit, it gives something different. And I think especially at home in games like Everton, not so much, because I I think there you need the creativity, you need runners from other areas and things like that. But in the big games, like Fergie used him, I think Wells has still got a part to play, and he has been frustrated with injuries and things like that. But I think he just needs to accept that he's not going to be a centre forward, and certainly at Arsenal, his chances of playing centre forward are next to none. So if Iwobi can play on that left side in certain games, I'm absolutely sure of myself that I'll definitely play Wells, and especially next week I'd consider it. But I'm not sure on the state of his fitness. He's still out, is he?
Mm.
Yeah, I think he's in light training, so he could well be back for next week.
Yeah, he might. I mean, he's not going to throw him straight back in, is he, Wenger? But, well, mind you never know. Ramsey's out for 7 or 8 weeks with a hamstring, and he plays 90 minutes nearly twice in sort of 4 days.
I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Welbeck came back from an injury, put him straight in on the right-hand side ahead of Theo in the North London derby. So there is a track record there. He knows, because of what Woz says, he gives you that up and down work rate in a tough fixture. And he certainly will support Monreal very well if he does get the nod. I've no doubt about that. But yeah, I think it's a struggle. I mean, there's certainly been talk of him going, hasn't there? I don't think there'd be any shortage of offers of good clubs, and certainly good Premier League clubs, or possibly even continental clubs. I mean, he has got, as you said, James, the track record for England is phenomenal. Great goal scoring record for England. So,
yeah, staying with you, Steve, just moving away from Danny Welbeck. Yesterday we saw Aaron Ramsey get his first career hat-trick, which capped off what was a brilliant man of the match winning performance. He's got less than 18 months left on his contract, and there's been talk, which are just hush rumours at the minute, of him potentially wanting to leave Arsenal. How much of a loss would Aaron Ramsey be, and how vital is it that we get him signed up?
I've missed all that. I seen it on Twitter. I don't know where it started. Some in the know sort of guy. I don't think there's any secret that Aaron Ramsey's said he would like to play abroad. If that's the root of it, then I think absolutely he does want to play abroad. I think, well, I'd be quite harsh on this. I want him to stay. I want him to be offered a cracking deal. And as I've said to Woz before, I would have no issue if he signed a new contract making him club captain. I'd go that far. But if he won't sign this summer, bin him. Literally bin him. I'm not having Arsenal Football Club going into this situation with the players again. I don't think any of these new employees at senior level will let it happen again. So if he doesn't want to sign a contract, then I think we should sell him. I sincerely hope he will sign a contract. And as Woz and I have discussed before, Wenger rather stupidly made it public what Oxlade-Chamberlain was offered. So, and there's a lot of figures being banded around of what these new players are on. So Aaron Ramsey is quite rightly going to be looking north of 200 grand a week to stay. And I think we should probably pay it. But if he won't sign a contract, absolutely sell him straight away.
I'm in total agreement with Dave there. Give him practically what he wants, and I'd be very much inclined to make him club captain, especially given that we haven't had a proper captain at Arsenal for some time now. If he was to go, he'd be a massive loss for us, because you kind of put him in the same mould as players like Claudio Marquisio in terms of what he can offer in an attacking sense. And he offers something so different to Jack Wilshere. And Jack's been great these past couple of months. But you saw what Ramsey did when he came in, that instant impact, a hat-trick. I mean, that stuff like that doesn't go amiss. And he's such a pivotal player to Arsenal, especially as he's building up that relationship with Xhaka and Ozil and Mkhitaryan and even Aubameyang. He's so vital to what we want to do in terms of this bigger project. To lose him, an integral cog to this Arsenal team, it'd be devastating.
It would, but Dave's spot on, and I wholeheartedly agree with him, and I'd bin him as well, because you have to. But to look out there in the market at the moment and look around the world, and like you're saying, there's very few midfielders that you can compare Aaron Ramsey to. The engine of the guy, the way he's getting from box to box. I mean, people ain't really spoke about it. That tackle he made at Swansea was just absolutely astonishing. That last tackle at the far post, and then the next game he's scoring a hat trick. So the guy really is a complete midfielder. He's a box to box midfielder. The systems are the issue. Once we get that sorted, and I'm hoping that whoever the new manager is that comes in eventually, if Ramsey does commit, I mean, I'm so excited, because he is a player that does link with the best players. Ozil likes playing with him. I mean, the only player that we know don't like playing with him was Alexis, but you can see that they're just on a wavelength. And Ramsey's intelligence, the movement, he can see there's holes being created, and he goes for it. And yeah, sometimes he does get ahead of the ball too much, and he does make errors, but I mean, for me, I like his style, I like his aggression, and I like Arsenal to play in that manner. And you do lose a hell of a lot when you take Aaron Ramsey out in the middle of that park. And that's no disrespect to anyone who comes in his place. It's just because he's a physical specimen who covers so much ground, and not just that, he's got tricks and flicks. He scores goals. He can tackle. He can play long and short passes. He really is a complete midfielder. But
he can play the drums, play the guitar.
Yeah. But he needs consistency. Consistency is the key, and obviously the horrific injury. But the fact he's even got back to this level for me is a massive achievement. And I think the only reluctance with Arsenal paying a huge contract might be the health of the guy. And like I said earlier, I don't think he will complete 30 games a season, and it's a big risk. But then you've got to manage him correctly. And if he does play, and he should be taken off earlier in games, and I was glad he was took off the other day, but literally just after he got his hat trick. But he just needs to be managed correctly. But I love Ramsey. I've always loved Ramsey, and obviously I hope he does sign. But yeah, it'll be a difficult one to replace if he does go.
I know it's a bit of an off-the-cuff shout here, but do you think if he was to go, we could look to promote Maitland-Niles in that position?
No.
Why not?
I think he's light years behind.
He's a different player.
Completely different player.
He's definitely got a defensive mindset, Maitland-Niles. He's not box to box. I mean, I do think, I know Woz doesn't necessarily agree with this, but I do think he's good enough to be in the Arsenal first team. But, he would be challenging for Xhaka's position rather than Ramsey, certainly.
I just think with Maitland-Niles, I think it's the security, the technical security. I mean, every single game, without fail, Granit Xhaka's made the third most touches in the Premier League this season. And I know he ain't played well, but
that's because it takes him 2 touches to control it, That's the only thing.
Exactly. But that's no, but it's not a mystery. Like every game, he's most touches, most passes, and when you see him play the way he did the other day, it makes you wonder, because he's been getting pelters, but he does a lot of things that go unnoticed. And I do like Maitland-Niles. I do certainly agree with you. I like his energy. I like his tempo, but just a bit unsure of his technical security at the moment.
Because of his pace, I want to see Maitland-Niles tried as the understudy to Bellerin, personally. I mean, he's played well on the left. Let's just put him on his right foot. And he played the whole season at Ipswich on the right. He's definitely, if he's not going to be the defensive midfield alternative right now, he should be the cover right back. And we should be playing him in the Europa League against Osterland, not Bellerin. We should be playing him definitely on the right and play Kolasinac on the left.
And also, he's made quite a few mistakes defensively, but you have to appreciate that he's not defending on his natural side, and it's so difficult to adjust your body. I mean, when you're right-footed and you play essentially on that right side. He was on loan at Ipswich playing on the right wing, and when you're so used to having that body shape, it's very difficult to defend, especially against top players. And he's just a bit more natural for him on the right-hand side. And like you say, Dave, he's getting up and down. He's certainly got that. He's a
whippet. He's a whippet as well. His recovery pace is amazing.
Exactly. So
it's almost Bellerin-esque how quick he is. I didn't realise until the season how quick he was.
Well, 100% agree with you that he should be the understudy to Bellerin, and I think that's where, for the next few years, his future lies. And I think we should go big and get another defensive-minded player for the centre of the park in the summer.
Yeah, I think we will.
Very good points raised there by the both of you. But let's move on to the performance of another young player from yesterday, Alex Iwobi, who redeemed himself after what's been a couple of haphazard performances. Dave, for you, how impressive was our young Nigerian yesterday?
I think he played more at the level we know he can play. He hasn't been at that level this season. I think he does seem to be a bit of a confidence player, and I think yesterday, probably playing alongside the three players, we're playing alongside Ramsey, Ozil and Mkhitaryan, who are all playing so well. It made him raise his game. I think he felt part of it, and he got a lot of touches early in the first half, and they were all good. So I think his confidence was up very early. Some nice little turns, some very good, one quick passing. Everything that he did seemed to go well for him, and I think he needs that. I think when Iwobi has poor touches early in the game, that's when he can disappear for the rest of the game. But I think yesterday he had good touches early, and it raised his confidence, and he didn't look out of place. So, and Wenger obviously rates him very, very highly. You don't discipline a player for what he did and then put him straight back in the team unless you think very highly of him. So, I think he knows that. But I still think sometimes it's all about confidence and getting things going well for him early in the game. And that's what happened, and he did very well.
What's for you? Iwobi yesterday was playing beside two players in Ozil and Mkhitaryan, 8 years his senior. how vital is it going to be for his development that he's playing with players of not just calibre but experience alongside him?
I thought he had his best 45 minutes in an Arsenal shirt. I did. The thing with Iwobi, he's always been technically sound and he's good on the ball and he drops in deep and he plays the ball nicely. But when he's in that final third, he's got to play for Arsenal Football Club. You've got to go to the next level. And I did think that he's another guy that loves crowd scenes. He loves the quick link play. And when Ozil's there, it's almost as if Iwobi gets the ball and he's always looking for Mesut. You always know he's going to come there and just caress him and look after him and take the ball off him. So definitely with Mkhitaryan and Ozil, the security, Iwobi moved the ball very well. And a lot of the passing, another thing to note is we weren't keeping hold of the ball for very long at all. Not one player was keeping the ball for more than 2-3 touches. And that's the way Arsenal need to play. We can't be, we seem very poor when we saw it a lot with Alexis towards the end of his time at the club where he's getting the ball, coming inside, slowing down, looking up. Yeah, and it's just infuriating. But none of that was happening. Iwobi would get the ball, there would be an overlap round him, we'd play the overlap, he'd come back inside, we'd move the ball across the pitch, give it to Xhaka, it'll go back out to the other wing. Mkhitaryan, we was moving the ball, moving the game. Nothing was stagnant, nothing was stopping. And Iwobi really, really excelled in that first 45 minutes. And if I'm brutally honest, I feel like he has been shocking this season and he has had a really poor season. But like you say, Arsenal's stuck with him. He's desperate to see it succeed and he's an Arsenal boy and we all want him to succeed. And maybe at times I have been harsh on him, but I just don't think he's ready. And I still do believe that he could do with a loan to polish up on that final third part of his game because it is a key part of it. But good on him. I was glad he had that and he has responded and he was using his body really well. He was very strong in a lot of challenges and he just moved the ball well and done the simple thing. So I was pleased for him.
And on a final note, lads, going to end it on a slight sour note because we did concede in that second half, courtesy of Calvert-Lewin scoring. A very simplistic header, just the team seemed to fall asleep. Kolasinac certainly could have done better in this instance, just not even challenging Calvert-Lewin for the ball. Our defensive frailties are evidently a problem, Big Sam highlighting them before the game, which thankfully came back to bite him on the bum. But Dave, for you, is there any way at all that we can shore up our defending going into these last couple of months of the season?
Well, the short answer is no, because we don't do any sort of defensive coaching at Arsenal.
Okay, that's that.
But I do think what will help is if we play the same team every week. You know, if we decided we're going to play a flat back four again, which I think we have, then literally the back four that started yesterday is our back four. And, you know, barring the odd Europa or resting players, in all the big games, those four should play. It might be harsh on Holding, it might be harsh on Chambers, but bottom line is Mustafi is a world-class defender in my view. Laurent Koscielny has always been a world-class defender, and this probably could be his last season. So if we're going to try and win the Europa League, and if we're going to try and get in the top four, those four players have to play most games. And that's how we'll shore it up if we get the same players playing together every week.
Is it the same for you? Are you
Absolute
even convinced by? Yeah, are you convinced though by that partnership of Mustafi and Koscielny?
Yes. Like Dave said, I think Mustafi is an absolute warrior. I think he's such a good player, but along with the rest of them, he needs the balance. And Dave's got the nail on the head there because you play that back four and you play the same two in front of them, you're gonna start playing well together, and that's just natural. But I mean, the tackle he made, Mustafi's got that mentality, that German winning mentality. I mean, you see him, he was celebrating it like he just scored the winner in a bloody cup final or something. That tackle on Walcott. And where he won, he jumped up, he's pumping his fist, he's celebrating, he's over the moon. And you love to see that sort of thing from your centre-backs. And he's a bit on the small side, but he's very aggressive and he wins a lot. And I think, yeah, them two are good. And I do like the young boys coming through, like Callum Chambers and Rob Holding might need a loan. But I think certainly in the summer, that area, the defence, centre-back, because like Dave said, Koss is on his sort of last legs. And central midfield, another defensive midfielder. I think they're the two positions that we're clearly going to go big in, and we've managed to keep the powder dry by not spending any money whatsoever. So,
I think the goalkeeper will be first, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the goalkeeper, and there's lots of talk of Jan Oblak, which would be absolutely unbelievable. And I think these guys at the club now have come in, and there's when other players are going to see people like Aubameyang come in and Ozil committing his future to the club, and you've got Lacazette there, and it's very exciting going forward. But we're definitely light in numbers, but I'm thinking that hopefully we're going to carry on in the summer and kick on again. But yeah, I think I'm happy with the back four, and like Dave said, playing as often as you can, because you can see that poor old Kolasinac was very rusty, very, very rusty. But that's what you get when you bomb a player out and not give him a kick for months and play Maitland-Niles ahead of him. So he's probably going to be low on confidence. He's not kicked enough ball lately. So hopefully he gets a few minutes and we continue with that normal back four, and Kolasinac comes in when required.
Nice one. And on that note, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you gentlemen this evening. Dave, where can everyone find you on the social, mate?
Oh, always Gooner Dave 66. That's my only social. I don't do anything else. Don't even understand Instagram. I'm far too old. Just Gooner Dave 66 on Twitter.
Perfect. Make sure you give Dave a follow. And was the same for yourself?
Yeah, just me. Was the Gooner on Twitter. I wouldn't follow me though. Just listen to me on here. Don't bother.
The only Gooner you need in your life. Anyway, guys, as I say, beautiful stuff tonight. Really enjoyed chatting with you, and good to be talking about a positive Arsenal performance yesterday. Hopefully we can bring that result into that game away from home, which is of course at Wembley against Spurs, a ground that's been very, very favourable to us over the past couple of years. Let's make sure we get a win there against our bitter rivals that I've just found out have got a late equaliser in a 2-2 draw at Anfield, which is not the best of news, but a decent result for us. Anyway, guys, as I say, thanks for tuning into the Gooner Ramble. Please do drop a like on this if you're watching it on the YouTube. And again, thank you all for watching. And from myself, Woz and Dave, we'll be speaking to you very soon. See you later, guys.
Great hosting, James. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
This episode of the Gooner Ramble is sponsored by the new sporting betting app called Mkhi. That's BOOKEE. Sign up using the promo code podcast. Deposit and bet £10 in multiple bets for a free £10 bet. Please bet responsibly.